Casting magic spells and creating potions is a physical experience in Sorcery for the PlayStation 3. The role-playing game has been developed by the Workshop and uses the Sony motion controller. You play the role of an impatient sorcerer's apprentice named Finn, who tends to act first and asks questions later. It doesn't take long before you trigger a sequence of events, awakening the fury of the Nightmare Queen. To save the townsfolk from the unleashed danger, you turn to the teachings of your master named Dash. On your journey towards the heart of the Fairy Kingdom, you develop and learn powerful magic spells. Erline is another main character who appears as a magical cat that has a mysterious background. Erline serves as a companion and provides the player with lots of banter and advice throughout the journey. The storyline in Sorcery is decent and succeeds at gaining your interest. The cutscenes in between levels are entertaining, even though they're a little dramatic.
Enough, you monster!
The Nightmare Queen calls me monster! The world is full of wonders!
In the beginning of Sorcery, you feel like a magician's apprentice, due to your wand and the way you control it. Spellcasting is the game's main focus, and there are lots of enemy encounters for testing your skills. In addition to the combat, there are puzzles to be solved, and boss fights that require skillful use of your magic. The Spell Nexus is one of the most noteworthy items to be found, as each one gives you a power of the elements. During your adventure, you'll unlock the power of fire and ice, along with a handful of others. You'll rely on 5 elements for the majority of the game, which may not sound like a great deal. The variety becomes apparent during spellcasting when you exercise your ability to combine magic spells. With clever manipulation of the controls and the discovery of elements, you soon become a powerhouse of destruction. The whirlwind spell may end up being one of your favourites, as it can be particularly effective during combat. Enemies that are sucked into your whirlwind vortex can be burned to a crisp with a bolt of fire. Using the motion controller isn't optional, but it gives you the impression that you're throwing effort into your spellcasting. You can improve the effectiveness of your spells and abilities by discovering treasures and ingredients. Treasures are only useful as you can trade them for gold, and this can be spent buying items from a merchant. Ingredients can be combined to create a multitude of drinkable concoctions, and these can improve your magic skills and powers of endurance.
Primus! It's Erline!
Erline?
Yes! You remember, don't you?
Overall, Sorcery is an impressive game, but it does have a handful of blemishes. The camera controls aren't bad, but the process of aiming spells can feel a little cumbersome. When using projectile spells such as Arcane Bolt, it can be difficult to land your shots with precision. You often feel that you're being assisted with automatic aiming when squaring up to enemies in close quarters. More assistance is provided when the camera switches direction in an effort to make you aware of approaching enemies. In many cases, you'll be aiming at an enemy when the camera suddenly shifts, and this can be a little irritating. Sorcery is extremely linear, as there's not much to find off the beaten path, and there's no online multiplayer. There are secrets to be found, but sprawling optional areas of major exploration aren't part of the package. The controls deserve a mention for more reasons than one, but they'll be less of an issue if you already have the required hardware. Sorcery includes everything found in the standard motion control package, but with the added bonus of the navigation controller. You can use a dual shock instead of a navigation controller, but doing this feels slightly awkward. A good job has been done to ensure you're constantly engaged during a game of Sorcery, and this is mostly due to the controls. Using the controls to knock back potions and to cast spells does have a special novelty. Completing Sorcery takes about 12 to 15 hours, and unlocking different potions gives you reason to play again. Sorcery may not be entertaining for years to come, but action RPG fans will find it an enjoyable experience. Please don't forget to subscribe, and be sure to check out theprotagonist.org for the full written review. If you're in need of an entertaining game for the PlayStation Move, then Sorcery is a good choice.